Space startup news this week. EXO launch secures SpaceX rides through 2028. EXO Launch, a company integrating and deploying satellites, has signed a multi-year launch contract with SpaceX. This partnership has been lucrative for both companies, with EXO Launch deploying over 400 satellites from SpaceX launches. In fact, EXO Launch has flown on every transporter mission by SpaceX. This new agreement gives EXO Launch space on upcoming transporter missions to sun-synchronous orbit and bandwagon missions to mid-inclination orbits. EXO Launch has helped a whole host of small space startups get their first satellites into orbit and helped deploy several constellations. Some of their customers are ICI, Spire, Planet Labs, Endurosat, Loft Orbital, Capella Space, and Hawkeye 360. EXO Launch launches satellites from tiny CubeSats up to satellites weighing over 1 ton. Their VP of Global Business Development, Keir Fortier, says that a lot of the demand is coming from satellite constellation operators. These constellation operators, maybe a few years ago they were doing their first tech demo, and then maybe doing a few satellites, growing and finding the sweet spot for their business model. Now they're scaling the full constellation, unquote. For the upcoming Transporter 13 mission, EXO Launch will deploy 27 payloads, followed by nearly 50 payloads on Transporter 14. The company anticipates deploying 1 to 2 tons of payloads per rideshare mission moving forward, cementing its role in the expanding small satellite market. Okay, on to our next story on commercial docking in space. Autopup 2 set for June launch to test satellite docking. Starfish Space is gearing up for its second mission to test rendezvous and proximity operations, or RPO, technology, a critical step for satellite docking. The company's Autopup 2 spacecraft will launch on SpaceX's Transporter 14 rideshare mission in June, aiming to dock with a D-orbit ION satellite in low Earth orbit by year's end. Starfish plans to conduct 3 RPO missions in 2026 to further refine this technology. The spacecraft that Autopup 2 is attempting to dock with is not designed for docking. Starfish co-founder Trevor Bennett said that this Autopup mission is really a precursor to a lot of things we want to do in space. Starfish's first Autopup mission launched in 2023 on SpaceX's Transporter 8, but faced challenges when the spacecraft spun out of control. After 6 weeks, engineers stabilized it, and by April 2024, the spacecraft came within 1 kilometer of a D-orbit ION satellite, capturing several images. Autopup 2 will be equipped with electric propulsion thrusters from French startup ThrustMe. Starfish has secured significant contracts to expand its Otter program. Last year, Space Systems Command awarded Starfish $37.5 million to develop an Otter for national security missions. NASA has also signed a $15 million contract for a low Earth orbit mission to inspect space debris. Additionally, Intelsat is partnering with Starfish to use an Otter spacecraft to extend the life of a geostationary satellite. Next up, we explore more exciting space developments this week. Impulse and SES multi-launch agreement. Impulse Space, a US space startup building space tugs, has announced a multi-launch agreement with SES that builds and owns constellations of satellites in geosynchronous orbits. SES will use the Helios kick stage to transport SES's satellites quickly into their operational orbits in geosynchronous orbit. In fact, the Impulse space tug is so powerful it can boost a 4-ton class payload into an operational GEO orbit in just 8 hours. The first mission to use Helios kick stage from Impulse Space is planned for 2027. The agreement provides for additional missions, allowing SES to quickly position launch satellites into operational orbits, meaning they can start earning money straight away rather than waiting months to slowly spiral up to geosynchronous orbit using electric propulsion, which has been the case previously. We're not only partnering with Impulse to bring our satellites faster to orbit, but this will also allow us to extend their lifetime and accelerate service delivery to our customers. We're proud to become Helios's first dedicated commercial mission, unquote. Tom Mueller, founder and CEO of Impulse Space, said, "We believe medium Earth orbit, and geosynchronous orbit play a critical role in the space economy, but operators today face the challenges of slow, expensive, and inflexible access to these essential orbits. Helios changes that. It's built to move large payloads to high-energy orbits quickly and reliably. SES has a long history of embracing innovation and pushing our industry forward, and we're proud they've chosen Helios to support the next phase of their deployment strategy, unquote. This marks the first commercial contract for a dedicated Helios mission, where a single 4-ton class payload will fully leverage the vehicle's performance capabilities for direct transport to geosynchronous orbit. Okay, on to our final story this week. Blue Origin test their moon lander mock-up at NASA's underwater facility. Blue Origin and NASA made waves this week with their first joint test at NASA's Johnson's Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory, advancing the development of Blue Origin's Blue Moon Mark II human landing system. Over 2 days, diving teams conducted simulated extravehicular activities using a specialized underwater mock-up of the Mk2 lander. The mock-up mirrored the lander's airlock hatch and its close proximity to the lunar surface. Participants wore modified underwater spacesuits and used weights to replicate the moon's gravity, testing the lander's airlock, surface access system, cargo transfer system, and innovative hardware designed for rescuing an incapacitated crew member. The test successfully demonstrated the ability to safely deliver astronauts and cargo to the lunar surface and return the crew in an emergency. Okay, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Space News Live is on Saturday evening or Sunday morning, depending where you're watching from. I recap the videos I posted this week, answer questions, respond to comments and chat messages, cover any missed news, and preview upcoming content. I'd love for you to join if you can. Be sure to like and subscribe so you will see our upcoming videos. We make videos every week covering the space industry, with an emphasis on the smaller space startups that aren't covered so well on other channels. See you soon.